Paula, yesterday on 60 Minutes, we heard former vaccine chief Rick Bright tell our Norah O'Donnell that the sense of urgency to act against the virus wasn't shared by everyone at the Department of Health and Human Services. I want to play a little bit of that.
I believe my concerns were shared by other scientists in the government, and I believe the NIH was also moving very quickly to start some research and developing a vaccine and starting a clinical trial for an antiviral drug. What struck me, though, was my sense of urgency didn't seem to prevail across all of HHS.
In your complaint, you said that Secretary Azar was intent on downplaying this catastrophic threat. Why would he do that?
No, I don't know why he would do that.
All right, Paula. So let me ask you, for those Americans and those viewers who are not following every one of President Trump's tweets, how's the president reacting to this?
So the president has been asked about Rick Bright several times over the past 2 weeks. He has pretty much tried to dismiss him as a, quote, disgruntled employee, even though he's someone that consistently received exceptional performance reviews. The president has said, quote, never met him or even heard of him. That's notable because instead of actually addressing the allegations that Rick Bright has made, instead this administration, this White House, has chosen to try to attack him personally without really addressing at all or disputing at all the substance of his accusations that the administration was unprepared and slow to respond to this pandemic. The administration and its allies have also pointed to the fact that Rick Bright has not shown up for his new job. He was reassigned to a different role within the government, even though he is one of the government's top vaccine experts. He was put into a different role to work on the response to this pandemic. Several times here at the White House, they have noted his salary close, a little bit under $300,000 a year, and the fact that he has not shown up. That has been their response to these pretty shocking allegations about the way that this administration has responded to a historic pandemic.
Paul, I got to ask you about the president's latest pinned tweet. So it's a tweet that stays permanently at the top of his Twitter feed there. It simply says Obamagate, but it also comes with several other retweets today about President Obama and the Obama administration. We know that the two presidents, you could call it perhaps a war of words going on, but what's the deal with Obamagate? What's he getting at here?
Well, the president just wants people to be talking about this, though he cannot define it. He nor this White House have been able to lay out what exactly it is that they're referring to here. The press secretary last week was asked to lay out. She's like me, a former lawyer, asked to lay out what exactly the crime was. She was not able to do that. Instead, they just sort of use this to describe this umbrella of generalized grievances they have against the Obama administration, where they try to allege that holdovers from the Obama administration have sort of conspired as the quote-unquote deep state to undermine this administration. But we have to point out specifically that when it comes to the Russia investigation, that was continued by the president's own Attorney General, Jeff Sessions. He eventually recused himself, passed it on to the president's hand-picked Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, who appointed lifelong Republican Robert Mueller. When it comes, for example, to Mike Flynn, who they often try to bring into this alleged conspiracy, Mike Flynn pleaded guilty twice to lying to the FBI. He entered a plea deal, even though there was the possibility of a presidential pardon out there if he did not cooperate. Like, for example, the president's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, he still pleaded guilty. That was a prosecution that was carried out by the president's own Justice Department. So all of these allegations, these sort of non-specific allegations about misdeeds or illegal activity by the Obama administration, so far no one in this White House has been able to lay out what exactly, specifically, the crime was. They like to throw around this term unmasking. That's when top U.S. officials can ask for the identity of certain U.S. citizens who show up in certain intelligence reports. That's something that the Trump administration does just as much, if not more, than previous administrations. Thousands and thousands of times they've asked for people to be unmasked. And so far, whether they raise the specter of there being some impropriety in unmasking the name of Mike Flynn, so far no one has been able to point to any specific illegal activity connected to that. So this Obamagate, well, it's a catchy little phrase. So far no one here at the White House could tell me specifically what it means.
That's a great point, Paula, to make, in that often and many times the president has been asked by you and other reporters to explain specifically what he's talking about. he's been unable to do so. What is clear to a lot of people, obviously, is that President Obama continues to get under President Trump's skin, which is why the president continuously feels the need to lash out, to point to President Obama's administration, which, let's remind people, ended more than 3 years ago. And so I guess we're going to continue to see that. But when we have reporters like you who can actually provide the reporting and the analysis of what are facts versus what exists in President Trump's mind, it's a good day for America. Paula, thank you as always.
I will also note, Vlad, I do want to point out really quickly that President Obama, as he is expected to campaign for his former Vice President Joe Biden going forward, he is appearing to violate the long-standing precedent that you do not criticize your successor. He has sort of seen what's going on here. He apparently feels that he wants to violate that norm. So he's definitely stepped into the ring, and it's unlikely that the Trump v. Obama back and forth is going to end anytime before the election.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. There have been a lot of norms that have been upended over the course of the last 3 years.
No doubt.
And I suspect that they will continue to be. They will continue to be. But what's important is that we have reporters like you who can actually separate the reality from what perhaps may not be. So that's clear. But yeah, I suspect that this war of words will continue, especially as President Obama really gets on that virtual campaign trail as it exists today because of the pandemic. So we'll see more of this, I'm sure. Paula Reid for us at the White House, as always. We appreciate it.